Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Happy New Year. You may have seen the news about Quicksilver coming back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There were a couple scenes that posted online that Marvel took down very, very quickly, meaning that they're probably real, so I'll explain what was going on during that. But this is huge news, so if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're doing the new Infinity Saga box set giveaway. I'll also explain that at the end of the video, too. So late last night, a whole bunch of clips for two twin boys performing as Wiccan and Speed, Scarlet Witch and Vision's children for the upcoming Wandavision and Doctor Strange 2, posted online. I made sure to download them before Marvel took them down, of course. But because of the hardcore rules that YouTube has about putting little kids in your videos, I can't actually put them in the video here. So I'll explain what they were talking about, what the scenes were, and what it all means. Last year, a couple of casting breakdowns revealed that they were planning on doing Scarlet Witch and Vision's comic book children during the Wandavision series, so it's not a huge surprise that the actual children are showing up, but it's what they're talking about and what they're doing in the scenes that implies that Quicksilver is also coming back as part of all this craziness. One of the little kids is named Tommy, and he's talking to another little kid, presumably his twin brother, called Billy. So Tommy is the name of Speed in the comics, Billy is the name of Billy Kaplan, Wiccan, in the comics. I think they're going to be changing their backstories a little bit for the purposes of WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2 and possibly future Young Avengers stuff, so I'll explain that stuff in a second. It's not quite as important as what they're actually doing during these scenes. So Tommy is talking to Billy, and they're really afraid to go disturb their quote-unquote uncle who's sleeping on Scarlet Witch and Vision's living room couch late into the morning. They dare each other to go wake him up, but they never refer to him as anything more than their uncle. And the important thing about Scarlet Witch and Vision is that Vision doesn't have any biological family. I mean, obviously we're doing the twins from the comics. I'll explain how that works in a second, because technically he can't have biological children. There's a really crazy comic book explainer for that. But Scarlet Witch does have a brother who would be these little boys' uncle. So that's why everyone is taking this to mean that whatever chaos magic, alternate reality, multiverse way that they're using to explain how Scarlet Witch is physically capable of having biological children with Vision, they're also using that same way to explain how they can bring back Quicksilver when we saw him die during Avengers Age of Ultron. You also remember that Doctor Strange 2 is called the Multiverse of Madness, and Agatha Harkness is supposed to be one of the characters on the WandaVision series played by Kathryn Hahn. She's a very powerful sorceress from the comics who's had a very contentious relationship with Scarlet Witch in the past. Kevin Feige said that they were using WandaVision to turn Wanda of the MCU into the true Scarlet Witch version of her character from the comics, and he flat out just said that she's the new most powerful character after Avengers Endgame in that video that I posted yesterday. So the most logical explanations for this is that she could either be living out her fantasy life that she creates for herself with Vision like the twins, maybe Quicksilver, in an alternate reality, or they could go the full chaos magic route. Either way, the implication is that when she does create this fantasy reality for herself, as they've been hyping up for the WandaVision series, it has far-reaching consequences, and that's why Doctor Strange gets involved and why she winds up crossing over into Doctor Strange 2. Imagine what he would do if he found out that Scarlet Witch created an alternate reality, and that alternate reality started to spill into our main reality. There's that funny clip from Avengers Infinity War where Doctor Strange is having his big bro-off moment with Iron Man and tells him exactly what his main job as Sorcerer Supreme is.
This still may be the best chance we have against Thanos.
Yes, so conversely, it may also be his best chance against us.
Well, if we don't do our jobs.
What is your job exactly besides making balloon animals?
Protecting your reality, douchebag.
So when I say that Scarlet Witch's fake reality might be causing problems for the main reality, that will probably have something to do with the main villain of Doctor Strange 2. Because it sounds like WandaVision is one part them doing the Tom King Vision run with some changes, letting Scarlet Witch spend a few hot minutes in the perfect life she imagined for herself and Vision and their potential children that she always wanted for herself but never got a chance to have. Then the second part of the series is her being upgraded to comic book Scarlet Witch chaos magic level powerful as that fake reality starts to crack and crumble around her. During the Tom King Vision run, they kind of did a version of this with Vision's character. Scarlet Witch isn't a big part of it because he creates a separate synthezoid family for himself, but it all just goes completely to shit by the end of it. But if they are bringing back Quicksilver during WandaVision as part of this fake reality, it might only be for a few hot minutes. I don't know if they have any plans to let some of her fake reality stick, eventually going forward into the future. Because there are a lot of people that think that Kevin Feige is also using this series to introduce Wiccan and Speed so that they can go off into a Young Avengers team-up. They are core original founding members of the first Young Avengers comic book team. The video clips we saw were for little kids though, But the casting breakdowns that we got last year that said that they were trying to do Scarlet Witch and Vision's children talked about kids that would age rapidly. That would be a really easy way to explain how they can be born and then within the span of a few years be old enough for a Young Avengers team up, but it's not clear how much of this WandaVision stuff is going to show up during Doctor Strange 2, or if they'll just have some quick montage and some references to the events of WandaVision and all that craziness during the beginning of Doctor Strange 2 for some context. Because you have to imagine there's always that one person that just completely ignores everything that Marvel does, and then they see a big movie, they go to see it, and they have no idea how Scarlet Witch got so powerful at the beginning of it after Avengers Endgame. Wait a minute, where did she learn to do chaos magic? Where did that happen? Remember how they just announced that Wandavision was coming out later at the end of this year instead of waiting till 2021 to release it? One of the big reasons I think they're doing that is because they're probably going to release the first big trailer for Doctor Strange 2 at the end of this year, and Scarlet Witch is going to show up in it looking very different, being super powerful. Marvel wants people to understand why that is, so that's why you need the WandaVision series to explain how all this crazy stuff starts happening. I know a lot of you outside the United States are like, wait a minute, I can't even watch the WandaVision show because they don't have Disney Plus in my country. Most of the countries around the world will have Disney Plus by the time all this Marvel stuff starts airing in the fall. First is going to be Falcon and Winter Soldier, which will start sometime in August or September. That'll run all their episodes. Then they'll do all the WandaVision episodes. Then they'll do The Mandalorian Season 2. But while all that's happening, they'll start dropping clips and trailers for Doctor Strange 2. A lot of you are also asking if they're using the concept of Scarlet Witch and Vision's children on the series to introduce the concept of mutants formally into the MCU, the X-Men characters. And I think it's a little more complicated than that because of their crazy backstory in the comics. So I think the way they're going to play it is going to be a little more subtle. In the real X-Men mainstream A-list characters like Wolverine, the core X-Men characters, you'll see pop up in a separate film. WandaVision will probably just be the back door to that stuff. So you'll say that there's some Easter eggs and references and they're setting up that down the road, laying seeds. You also remember the famous conversation that Kevin Feige had at Comic-Con where he said that each of the new projects during Phase 4, the movies, the TV shows, will lay seeds for the big stuff that's coming later on, and that includes bringing the X-Men characters into the MCU. That's part of the reason why Kevin Feige now controls all of Marvel television shows and the movies and the comics, so that it all works together and you have seeds of everything laid in each different project so that it all connects together.
Does Phase 4 start to plant the seeds for whatever we're going to see? Because we obviously saw Thanos, the whole Infinity Saga, the seeds were planted way early on.
Yes. We debated what we should announce today. Should we announce 4 and 5? We've planned them out. We've got 5 years down the road. And I was like, I think 11 projects in 2 years is plenty.
It's still not super clear who the main villain of Doctor Strange 2 is going to be, but it does sound like it's going to be someone as big, if not bigger, than Dormammu. So right now, it kind of seems like Agatha Harkness might wind up being the secret backdoor villain of WandaVision. She's not a big enough character to be the main villain of Doctor Strange 2. So it sounds like Scarlet Witch and Agatha Harkness cause a whole bunch of problems for our reality during WandaVision, and then that creates an opportunity for the main villain of Doctor Strange 2 to come into our reality, which is where Doctor Strange gets involved, protecting our reality. Let me know in the comments, though, do you think that Scarlet Witch and Vision's children talking about their uncle, Scarlet Witch's brother, implies that they're bringing back Quicksilver for WandaVision? And who do you think the main villain of Doctor Strange 2 is going to wind up being? Do you think it's going to be Nightmare, or do you think that it's going to be Mephisto? Because even though everything is pointing to it not being Mephisto, Mephisto is a core part of the origin story of Scarlet Witch and Vision's children. They originally start out as the soul shards that Mephisto then reabsorbs into himself, but then because they're so powerful, they get reincarnated into other bodies of Wiccan and Speed. So that's how Scarlet Witch's children in the comics are actually born, technically, to other people around the United States, and she doesn't learn about it till later. If you haven't read any of those comics and you think that sounds really confusing, don't worry. The version of all that stuff that they do on the TV shows will be very, very different. Like I said, we're doing the new Infinity Saga box set giveaway. I have a second one to give away. I'll leave that open until Black Widow comes out in the spring. Everyone click here for that new Doctor Strange video where Kevin Feige talks about how Scarlet Witch is the new most powerful character, and click here for my brand new Marvel Deadpool 3 video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. Happy New Year.